In the wrestling world, the people are represented by two separate but unequally important groups. The wrestlers and bookers, who literally do all the hard work, and the fans, who endlessly nitpick and overanalyze everything they do. These are their stories.
Hey! It's Warhorse, and you need to shut your mouth, open your eyes, and clean out your ears, because it's time to listen to the Raw and Order podcast. That's right, they're bringing you the best in all that meaty podcasty goodness in one, what is it, an hour? Two? Who cares? Who gives a shit? You need to listen to it right now, or else Warhorse is gonna, roll your ass!
Guess who's back again. Hey, welcome to another episode of Raw and Order, the Wrestling Booking Unit, the only wrestling podcast on the planet that disappears without a voice for almost a week and then just comes back and pretends like nothing happened. I am your host, Detective Mark Smarks, and I am joined, as always, by my partners in crime fighting. Starting off, District Attorney Vince Cafe. What's going on, man? How are you?
You do realize how much you utterly failed at pretending nothing happened.
Yeah, no, I'm not good at that.
Yeah, you completely failed at that by mentioning it before anybody else was on the podcast at all.
Yep.
Yeah.
So
hey, you look groomed though.
I am groomed. I groomed.
Yeah.
It's finally warm enough here most of the time that the big beard was starting to get a little warm. You know, a little too much face warmth. So I went down to this beard. But I'm still
I'm the scraggly fuck tonight.
I'm still scraggly here though. Like I'm still scraggly up there. Also joining us from up north, JLB. What's going on, man? How are you?
Goes good, sir. Beard is finally coming back-ish. It's not growing as it used to. Getting older sucks. Like, fuck you guys and your long beards. Right? Like, yeah.
Feel that color?
Yeah.
That's what's coming.
That's the other thing is getting down to this length.
And dyeing it?
I didn't dye it, but the color is just like, I guarantee you I didn't. I don't have the fucking energy to dye my beard. Fuck that.
More like you're a cheap fuck, but sure.
Yeah, well, there's that too. But like the color is a lot harder to see because it's so much shorter. Anyways, but it's there. It's still there.
Or the lacking color items.
Yeah, but if you see me in person, you'll see there's still plenty of gray in my beard. This camera just can't quite pick it up, but no, we're gonna actually address that particular elephant in the room and talk about why we weren't here a bit. Not to get into too much details, but DA Fabe had a hell of a work week and needed some time to recoup from that. I personally was dealing with the worst allergies attack that I've had in my life, basically.
Dust Bowl, baby.
And yeah, we're living in the Dust Bowl here in Nebraska, and because of that, I had to try taking a different medication than I normally do, and I was fucking out. Like, I was useless after like 7:00 p.m.
That's weird.
Yeah, and I mean,
hopefully that's not what she said.
I'm useless a lot of the time, but I was especially useless after that point. Hello to Ambrosia. Hi. Following us from Facebook. Welcome to the show. But yeah, and JLB had stuff going on in his life, which I have not received an update as to whether the stuff that he mentioned actually happened or not.
Happened today, actually.
Happened today. I am sorry to hear about it, but
But I'm here, guys. Talk to better and bigger things because wrestling happened this week.
Yes, we did have wrestling. That continued
regardless of our, allergies or personal matters.
Hello to Jocelyn as well. We're getting some followers here today. Hello, welcome. We're here to talk professional wrestling,
and we have women followers.
And yeah, both of those people.
Hey, don't be assuming their genders. They'll tell us.
No, yeah, you're correct.
I mean, that's valid.
That is valid. So, but it is still a little surprising here. But so yeah, we had a lot of wrestling this week, as always, right? Fun stuff happened on most of the shows. I'm excited for Dynamite this week. I'm excited for finally getting to see Danhausen wrestle on AEW TV. He's been cleared. He wrestled a show tonight for Glory Pro, teaming with Dan the Dad.
It's gonna happen Wednesday. Wrestle though.
He said fight, so you're correct there. He said you will fight Danhausen, and then when Hook stared him back down, he was like, let me take.
He just ate his chips.
Away. And I'm sorry about that.
Yeah, I'm excited to see him wrestle, though. I hope it ends up being a wrestling match because dude's entertaining as fuck. I really want to see him in the ring.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to watch indie shit because I don't end up liking it just because it's indie shit. Unfortunately, I have that little shallow part about me when I'm watching wrestling events where I need the great production. So hopefully he does end up wrestling on Wednesday because that would be fun, I feel. With all this stuff you've told me at least.
Yep.
So
like I said, he was cleared to wrestle. He wrestled an actual match at Glory Pro that today just got over like a couple hours ago. And he teamed with Dan the Dad.
Oh, nice.
As I think, what did they call their team name? The Interdimensional Mega Powers. And I love Dan the Dad. I would love to see Dan the Dad. Howdy out to you in Twitch land.
Facebook, Twitch, damn.
Yeah, but I would love to see Dan the Dad in AEW. I understand his gimmick is a little bit harder to work into the AEW thing.
Dude, you wrote it though.
I did. He needs to be the Dark Order dad. But anyways, so I'm excited to see him. I'm excited for the big manly men smacking meat between Wardlow and Lance Archer.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like they might do a whole because recently they've been doing these DQ finishes on AEW, and I'm kind of scared they're going that WWE route as well.
You say recently they've been doing DQ finishes. They've done 2 total DQ finishes in 3 years and 1 count out.
No. But I'm saying there was something that happened.
There's a count out this last week.
There was a count out. Yes, exactly.
Yes, they've done. Yeah.
Travesty.
Oh my goodness! In 3 years of existence, they've done 3.
I just hope they don't
3 non-endings. I'll also point out that one of those DQs and the count out both were MJF versus Sean Dean.
Yeah.
So it's the same people for both of those, and that's part of the storyline. I do not think we yet have to worry about that.
Okay. I'm hoping so too. Because I mean, look, I'm not giving them slack for it per se. It's just all of my traumas from WWE.
Especially since they actively acknowledged it on the air, right? When the DQ finish happened, they said, this is the count. This is the first count out in AEW history, right? That means they're consciously aware of what's going on. And
WWE can't tell you when the last count or when the last time they had a show with all clean finishes was.
Yeah, have they had one in the last 2 years? I would, if I had more time in the day, I would go through the cage match history and see if, and in just their televised shows, if they've had a single show that in the last year that has had all clean finishes. I would be doubtful that they even have one in the entire last year.
Now that you have to count distraction as clean.
Yes. Distraction is clean.
And the crap roll-up counter is clean.
Yep, all of those are clean. The only things that I consider not clean would be countouts or DQs of some sorts. Even a distracted ref heel hits, interference still is a clean victory as long as it ends in a 1-2-3. That's what it comes down to.
1-2-3 or a tap out. Yep.
Oh, yeah.
So anyway, some big news this week.
Yeah, lots of big news. Big news, big news. But the biggest of the big is the big announcement from AEW owner Tony Khan.
Time out. I'm going to make one fault on that.
Okay.
Before we announce the big news that is actually good big news.
Okay.
I'm a little tired of big announcements being announced before the big announcement.
I get it. I get it. It's become a trope. Again, I really do feel that this is Tony Khan's end run around Warner's desire to not have surprises, right? TBS and TNT reportedly had talked to him at one point that they didn't like surprise debuts and stuff because when you have a surprise debut, they can't pre-advertise it and capitalize on it. You don't get the ratings bump for it. Right?
You do the next week, though.
Yeah, you do the next week, but you don't that week. And the TV channels are all about that week's ratings. And so Tony Khan started, it goes way back to over a year ago with CM Punk, where he made vague reference to CM Punk coming. He made announcements that it's going to be a big show and we've got surprises. And
Kenny Omega wore little shirts. With
Kenny Omega wore shirts. And Darby Allin said, I don't care if you think you're the best in the world. They did all of this stuff to announce that CM Punk was going to be there without announcing it. So they got the best of both worlds. And I think Tony Khan has latched onto that and that this is his whole thing. Now he makes an announcement that there will be a big announcement so that TBS and TNT are happy with that they get the boost in ratings because people tune in to see this big announcement.
But there has been a couple of these that weren't as big as he made them out to be. One of these.
Yeah, there's always going to be that. But here's the deal: is in the end,
don't lights out me. Don't lights out me, and then give me a fucking basketball player who you signed like 6 months before.
Yeah, and that Tony has owned up to that. He said the lights out for it wasn't actually his idea; it was someone else's idea. And he went. It was a veteran, and he went along with it. Despite him thinking that it, and he's said, listen, in the end, the buck stops with me. I'm the one who gave the go ahead, so it's still my fault. Right. But I understand that lights out only works really well when it's a
Bray Wyatt,
known someone, right? It doesn't even have to be Bray Wyatt or Cesaro. It could be someone that you've already, it could be Matt Hardy shows up, but it's got to be someone that we know. And the problem with Satnam Singh is, for the most part, we don't know him. Even if you were a basketball fan, you really might not know him because he only played like
two seasons
he was drafted. Well, he was drafted to the Mavericks, but I don't even know if he ever actually played for the Mavericks. I think he played for their I don't know what they call it in NBA, their farm league or whatever it is. There, he's stupid tall. He actually signed with the Performance Center for WWE first, and he was there for about a year before he got cut. And then AEW signed him, and so he's been training.
Omos? What the fuck?
But so he's been training in a performance center or someplace since like 2017. So the fact that he's been training that long at least makes me hopeful that he. And here's the deal: when he came out at Battle of the Belts, they did it a lot better. They had Jay Lethal and I can't remember who's the other one.
Keith Lee?
No, it was
no, the other Jay Lethal guy.
No, God, now
either way.
Anyways, came out and then he came out behind, and they basically introduced him as their muscle, right? And they said, "Go get him," and then he went in and attacked, and that's the better way to do it.
All right.
So, anyway, on to the actual big announcement.
But the actual big announcement this week was not Satnam Singh.
No,
it was
the disappointment of the week.
In fact, I actually really liked the way they did the announcement. I got to be honest with you.
Was Adam Cole coming out and ruining it?
Yeah, Adam Cole ruining it. So you had Tony Khan and you had, I can't remember his name, but the CEO New Japan, standing there ready to make the big announcement, and then the screen lights up and Adam Cole cuts him off and says, I'm gonna cut to the chase. I'm gonna tell you the big announcement is a cross-branded show between New Japan and AEW, going to be called Forbidden Door. And to help me with that announcement, I called in a friend, and then out came Switchblade Jay White, who took the mic and delivered a little bit of a promo. And that's here's the deal: is I don't want to undersell how big of a deal it is to have a dual branded show, right? I think it would have been even cooler if they would have worked Impact into it, like Ed said before, and had a tri-branded show, but even a dual branded show. It has been decades since we had a real crossover show of the big ones. You know what I mean? I mean, WCW did some crossovers with New Japan.
Yeah, they fucked them off.
Well, yeah, and Impact had a partnership with New Japan, and then made Kenny Omega into a Kato ripoff, and fucked it off. So, but this has a potential to be a really big deal. It has a potential for us to make an entire FBI about fantasy booking what matches we would have at that show. Like, it could be an entire episode of the FBI.
It does.
Of us, nudge, nudge, wink, wink. Just fantasy booking because there are so many matches that I would love to see out of that. You know, AEW wrestlers wrestling against New Japan wrestlers, former New Japan wrestlers who now wrestle for AEW, going against their mentors in New Japan. And then even some ones that like Danhausen, as far as I know, never wrestled in New Japan. As far as I know, I can check. He might have done one or two shows here or there, but as far as I know, he didn't. Having him wrestle against like Toru Yano would be a ton of fun.
I can agree with that.
You know, so there's a lot of great matches that we'd love to see. We're not sure. Reports are uncertain as to whether Kenny Omega will be back from his injuries by then.
I feel like he'll be there though, regardless.
Yeah, I think he'll be a presence, but whether he wrestles is the big thing.
Right.
Just because
Or, I mean, if he does wrestle, he's not going to do much in the match, but he'll be part of the match. And I think that's even enough, technically.
Yeah.
To do that.
I with the way his injuries were, if he's not cleared to wrestle, he's not cleared to wrestle. He won't be a part of a match. And so if he's cleared to wrestle, this is Kenny Omega we're talking about. If he's cleared, he's putting on a full match. Right? That's just the way he fucking is. He
goes hard.
Yeah, he doesn't have anything.
Right.
And I mean, the simple fact is, if they do get him back in time, the story of him versus Kota Ibushi writes itself. Right. That's the match I think they would definitely book for that if he's
Absolutely.
back. But like, you know, who do you put against Okada? Do you put Hangman versus Okada? Champion versus champion? Do you put Hangman versus Jay White instead? That makes a lot of sense to me.
That would be fun.
So I mean, there's a lot of options, but it's a big thing. And the interesting thing is that they're doing it in Chicago, because I just really think AEW should just like, I know the Jaguars are located in Jacksonville, and that's where the Khan family has their base and everything. But I think AEW should just relocate its base of operations to Chicago.
Yeah, they do like everything there.
All of their big shows are in Chicago. Right. Because I think they've still got All Out planned for Chicago later this year as well.
Wow.
So they're going to do their crossover show and All Out in Chicago within months of each other. Chicago's a bit too far of a drive for me, but, you know.
Well, and Florida isn't?
Florida, I'd have to fly. But Chicago, it would be almost as long to fly there as it is to drive there. Just with when you add in going to the airport, checking in, waiting for your gate, yada, 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 so on and so forth. But it's still, it would be a solid, like, full fucking day of driving.
Oh Jesus. Well, I think for me, Chicago is not that bad. For you guys, it'd be a fucking trip.
Chicago's not horrible for us.
Not super horrible, but I mean it's still here. Do-do-do. Omaha to Chicago, and not in terms of flights. Don't want to do flights. I want to do driving. 7 hours from me. So DA
They
Fabe would
need to
add another
hush
2 hours
Chicago.
or so. So it'd be a 9 hour or so.
We can just drive it though.
Yeah, I mean it'd be a drive.
That's the advantage you really have is that you can fly just about anywhere that we can't.
Mm-hmm. I mean we could drive it. It would just be a fucking drive. It would be. We can go through. You know, we could visit Davenport, Iowa on the way through.
Oh,
Home of one Colby Lang
Colby Lopez. Yep.
or Lopez, not
Yep.
Lang. Colby Lang is a pop star, maybe.
I want to say country, maybe. I don't know. I don't pay enough attention to music anymore. But yeah, it would be a quite a drive. Not entirely undoable were I to have the financial resources, to take a day off. Well, it'd have to be 2 days off from work to drive out there, go to a show, and then drive back the next day. Or longer. But it wouldn't be undoable.
are you talking about for the New Japan or the All Out?
Either of them.
Either of them.
I mean, the thing is, it's just as likely for one as it is the other right now.
Right. Yeah, I haven't been in a wrestling show since before COVID. So if I'm gonna do a wrestling show,
Well-
I feel like I have to do an AEW one.
Aside from Zello Pro, which was post-COVID,
We haven't either. Our first one's going to be coming up here.
Hello Pro was COVID.
yeah, it was post-COVID. It was
Well,
post-ish.
present COVID.
Yeah, it was in between peaks. Let's say it that
Right.
way. But prior to that, in fact, actually, in my Facebook memories, it came up just the other day. Was 3 years since DFA and I went to a SmackDown in Lincoln.
Yeah.
So
Where this little show was conceived.
pretty much, we stood out in a parking garage afterwards, talking about how much we should just actually record us talking about professional wrestling.
And we got, Jocelyn and Ambrosia and some dude that says howdy.
Howdy how. Maybe it's Mr. Hanky the Christmas Poo.
Maybe. Anyway.
Is he still on South Park?
I
I
don't have a
cannot
clue,
tell you.
man.
I cannot tell you the last time I watched a new South Park episode.
No. That's fair.
Smarts, your age is showing. Slow it down, bud.
I mean,
his age is showing.
No, my age is showing when I remember watching the pilot for South Park online on like YouTube. It was not the one that aired as the actual show. It was the one they did as an animation for company Christmas party. That was kind of the genesis of South Park. I remember watching that on streaming before they even had a show.
I feel like YouTube wasn't even a thing yet.
It was early. It might not have been YouTube, but it was one of those streaming sites.
Because YouTube was like 2002, 3, 4, 2. Feel like it was after high school. So 2006.
Where's the Wikipedia? There we go. South Park. Wikipedia.
Maybe not 2006, like 2004.
Harkopedia?
Harkopedia. I was going down to Georgia looking for a
Animated
soul.
short film called The Spirit of Christmas. The short became one of the first internet viral videos leading South Park's production.
This right here. This is what you do when your hashtag still not sponsored.
Shit, it looks like that was what,
That's valid.
97 when that happened.
Like 1997?
Yes.
Not 1897 or 2097?
Hey, listen, I already had some millennial once refer to me as born in the 1900s, and it hurt me. And so I don't need to hear that again. Nope, 1995 was when the first one, The Spirit of Christmas.
I was gonna say, I thought I was still in high school. So
Yeah, that's what I'm saying, man. Like South Park was pretty.
long.
I'm trying to figure out what website shared it, but it doesn't say on the Wikipedia page.
It wasn't a website. It might have been. It had to. If any website it would have been like E-Bombs World,
It was something like that, but I don't know which one it was. It just doesn't say.
where Flash was still a thing, or Flash was just starting technically. Now the Flash player is dead.
Flash.
25 years later.
That was still a thing?
They saved everyone else. Anywho's, but yeah, no, the New Japan show is something big to talk about. And it's gonna be huge. It's huge. It's gonna be huge. Huge. It's gonna be huge. Let me tell you about it.
Will it? Do you think we get the rematch? Or no, we don't, because Mox already has a match for that.
Does he? Oh yeah. Someone called him out. No.
Ibushi, I think.
I can't remember who exactly called him out. I know Kenta has made hints about a match.
Maybe it was Kenta.
There. I don't know if there's anything been official yet announced for it, but we'll see something. I mean, excuse me.
So guys, are we seeing Will Ospreay? Is that what is going to happen? Even though he's
Most
an
likely.
NJPW strong? Okay.
I would bet money we see Ospreay at it, because he's still one of their biggest stars. Who he'll wrestle, it could be interesting. I mean, we could see Ospreay versus Hangman. I mean, that would be a heck of a match. Or it would be kind of fun to see Ospreay versus one of the up and comers in AEW. Someone like a Dante Martin, maybe.
That's where I was going to go, Dante.
Mm-hmm. The sad news for the Martin brothers, Top Flight, is Darius Martin is out again. He states it's a non-wrestling related medical thing, so who knows? That to me sounds like some sort of disease that's going to take him out for a while, so some sort of syndrome, but who knows? He did, however, state that it wasn't wrestling related, but he's going to be out for a while, so he just comes back and now he's going to miss more time. That's sad.
Jesus.
But Dante held his own for a long time, and so I can imagine him just going back to the singles. And I mean, the dude can fly. He literally, some of the stuff he does just blows my mind. So he'll be fine as long as he stays healthy. But yeah, Ospreay versus Dante Martin would be a hell of a match. Ospreay versus someone like Sammy Guevara would be fun, but
Even Jay Lethal, that could be a good time too.
yeah, I could see DFA bristle when you said that.
I'm not going to acknowledge it.
It was like I was watching a hedgehog and his back bristles kind of went. Anyways, but no, there are lots of fun ways they could go with it, and so I'm excited to see what they do. The reports have that as of right now, the plan is going to be almost all, if not all, of the matches are going to be AEW versus New Japan in some way. It's not going to be just like exhibition matches, New Japan match, AEW match, New Japan match, AEW match. You know what I mean? It's going to be all mixed matches, which is exciting. It also is one of those things that you just kind of watch and you go, man, this is going to put Tony Khan to the test in terms of booking, right?
Right.
Because he's got to book this in a way that makes AEW look great, but also makes New Japan look great, at least enough that they don't say, nope, we're done with this. We're never going to do it again. You know what I mean?
Right.
Which is what happened with WCW and
New
WWE
Japan.
every time they did things, and Impact whenever they did things, is they got so concerned with themselves looking good that they made New Japan look bad, and then New Japan said, fuck off, I'm not going to do this again. And so you got to make New Japan look good as well. You got to make yours look kind of like equals, because AEW is getting the rub from New Japan in Japan from this, and Japan's getting the rub from AEW in America from this. So it's got to work out for both of them. But there's a ton of fun matches that I can see from that. But we also had great other matches for AEW just through this. Like I said, I'm excited for the Wardlow Lance Archer match, just because it's going to be big men throwing each other around. I 100% predict that Wardlow is going to win in some way, because that's the way the storyline goes. Is he continues to win improbably until he finally gets his hands on MJF and has a chance to win his freedom. You know what I mean? That's just the way you basically have to do this. But it still should be a lot of fun, because they don't have a ton of big men to fight. That's probably my biggest worry with Satnam Singh, to be perfectly honest, is, he looks absolutely ginormous because he's up against a bunch of vanilla midgets. But what does this do to the AEW product going forward?
Correct.
Is this?
Even Gresham versus that dude on Battle of the Belts, great match, but oh my god, we definitely got to see, I'm pretty sure everyone that day literally went to go check what the hell is going on here, and then realized that Gresham is only 5'3". I'm like, oh, okay, that makes sense. But fuck, it looked weird.
Yep.
Great match, but it looked weird.
Speaking of hilarious size differences,
did
you guys get the video I sent you of
oh yeah, Marco?
Was that Marco?
I'm pretty sure that was Marco.
I thought it was a young lady wrestler.
I think I'll have to look at it again, because I think it was
Which
Marco.
video? When did you send this video?
Matt Cardona, he said it. Matt Cardona said that a fan rushed the stage. A fan illegally jumped the guardrail last night at AI
and
Wrestling
assaulted me.
I'm pressing charges.
Yeah, I couldn't tell who the fuck that was, though.
He was going to powerbomb whomever it was, and they hit him with a Hurricane Rana. The comment of, that's not a fan, that's Adam Cole. I about died.
Oh yeah, that does look like Marco Stunt.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's Marco, but I'm not sure.
Well, there's no way a fan would have done that.
No,
it definitely wasn't a fan, but
no.
But I think it was Marco Stunt. But that video is not super clear, one way or another. But yeah, whoever it was is tiny, even compared to Matt Cardona.
Right.
And so, but that's the deal. Satnam Singh's going to make even some of the biggest people in AEW are going to look tiny compared to Satnam Singh. Satnam Singh is tall enough. He made some people in WWE look small. Right. I want to say, let's see what his build height is.
I think it's 6'3", no? 7'3".
7'2", yes. Oh. According to his profile at the NBA, it was 7'2". So less. I'm willing to bet that when if he were to ever show up on WWE TV, they'd call him 7'9", because that's what they do.
He's bigger than the Undertaker.
But he just comes out, and even the biggest guy, even Wardlow is going to look tiny compared to Satnam Singh. And so the problem is, has this popped the cork on AEW starting to bring in the bigger guys and eventually
WWE Light.
Yeah, Land of the Giants.
Bloody WWE.
Where the bigger boys play.
And I worry a little bit about that, but I do want to point out the few people out there that I've seen talking about the New Japan show in a bad light, saying, "Oh, this isn't going to bring the casual fan in. This is crap. Whatever. This isn't a big deal. This is whatever." Anyways, they all seem to be the same people who were raving about how big of a deal it was that Mickie James was in the Royal Rumble. And I'm not trying to belittle Mickie James in the Royal Rumble representing another wrestling company in the Royal Rumble. That was a big deal. But this is a bigger deal. This is the number 2 wrestling company in America pairing with the number 1 wrestling company in Japan to put on a major match. Now, you know my thoughts on the idea of casual wrestling fans, because that's their big thing. They're like, this isn't going to bring in the casual wrestling fans.
Holy shit, bro. How many Oreos do you have? I'm so jealous.
They come in a big old box, and so there's lots of them.
One serving.
Oh, lovely.
One serving is a bag, right? It's the thins. They're thinner. Therefore,
They're
fit
healthier.
more in the box. They're healthier, yeah. But the simple fact is, this is every bit as big, if not bigger, in my book. I don't think there's such a thing as a casual wrestling fan. Said it before, there's invested wrestling fans and there's non-invested wrestling fans. No one flips around wrestling.
Oh, oops. There's wrestling on.
If there's wrestling on, maybe I'll just watch it on a regular basis, right? You either are invested and you specifically tune it on, or you're not invested and you flip by it and then you flip away. And I don't think that's what I'd call a casual wrestling fan. I would call that non-invested. I would call that just a person, flipping channels. And yes, it's important to try to win them over. But the thing is, you don't win them over with names they recognize. You win them over with excitement, right? I didn't start watching wrestling in the early days of my fandom because I saw someone I recognized. I started watching wrestling because I saw a match that made me excited, right? I was watching late night TV, wrestling came on, like whatever. And then I saw something that made me excited, and I said, I'm going to keep watching. It wasn't because of a specific person. It wasn't because of a Satnam Singh. It wasn't because of a Kenny Omega. It wasn't because of a Sting. It wasn't because of an Undertaker. I eventually became fans of specific wrestlers.
Things, yes.
But what got me to watch wrestling and continue watching wrestling was storylines and exciting matches. That's it, right?
Right.
People didn't tune in to watch the NWO Forum because it was Scott Hall. I'm not saying he wasn't important to it, but they stayed to watch it because Scott Hall was telling a really good story. And that story continued to be good for a long time, and then it stopped being good. Right? And so that's what it comes down to, is you get the casual wrestling fan to become an invested wrestling fan, not by presenting them with people that they recognize and all of that can play into it. But the big thing is you have to present storylines and matches that get them excited and keep them watching. And that's the path that AEW seems to be going by throwing out these matches like these New Japan matches. I mean, I don't care who Okada wrestles in AEW at this. It's going to be a hell of a match that's going to get people continuing watching, right? I don't care who Hangman Page wrestles against from New Japan. I've got a list of people I want it to be, but it doesn't matter who it is. As long as they put on a really good match and tell a good story, it will help win fans. And that's what it comes down to. Now, what the real thing is the build to it, because it can't just exist in a vacuum, and it doesn't already. I mean, we've already had, like I said, Switchblade Jay White show up on AEW and tout it a bit. But in the months coming up to the actual pay-per-view, there has to be some more bleed over in both directions, right? We have to see
for this relationship to work, obviously.
We have to see some AEW wrestlers appear in some format on New Japan programming, and we have to see some New Japan wrestlers appear in formats on AEW. It can't just be, hey, we've announced this match with Okada versus Moxley, right? That'll get the invested wrestling fans excited, but it's not going to win anyone to buy the pay-per-view that wasn't already going to buy the pay-per-view.
Yeah.
Right. You have to have Okada show up.
Look at me though, right? I'm not I don't watch NJPW. So for me, this announcement didn't do much for me per se, because I don't watch New Japan. I understand the big impact behind it for those who obviously watch both and are bigger wrestling fans than I am. But for me personally, you know what I mean? It's going to be all really new to me. I maybe have watched a few of Okada's matches because Jericho faced him and Kenny Omega faced him, and I would watch some of those. So, but again, I guess I'm a casual, or I am a wrestling fan, so I don't count into that formula that you're bringing there. But a lot of Twitter people are just stupid anyways. You can't compare. People have to just stop comparing. I know we as humans always do that. We always compare everything that we do. This person has this and this. Oh, but I like this thing, but this is not as good as this. You just can't. If you're a wrestling fan though, and I truly feel for those who are diehard wrestling fans, really honestly just love both, in the sense that they appreciate one where one does well and one does another. And then there's just the complete fanboys who are also just trolling, you know?
No. And so here's what I'm going to say. You are actually kind of the person that this is talking about in this respect, because you're not a New Japan wrestling fan, right? That is why this can't exist in a vacuum. We have to have build up to it. We have to have Kazuchika Okada appear in some format on AEW TV. It can be a pre-taped vignette,
if you will,
with him just somehow or another challenging. But there also has to be an accompanying video package building up with it, especially if he's wrestling against someone that he's wrestled before. There has to be clips from the previous matches to hype it up. But there's got to be something to make you invested in the match, right? It can't exist in a vacuum. Even if the people haven't wrestled before, we have to see something like Switchblade Jay White's wrestled a few times on AEW now, right? So he's introduced himself now, and he's getting fans in AEW, right? But he has to wrestle a few more times to build up to whoever he's going to wrestle at this show. I
digress. I believe his job is to get haters in AEW, not fans.
Well, fans and haters are effectively the same things in wrestling. I'm like the biggest heels. I hate MJF, and that's exactly what an MJF fan should do. You should hate him, right?
Oh, absolutely.
Speaking of, I saw a video today of someone at a meet and greet with MJF, trying to get MJF to sign a Wardlow action figure. And MJF literally threw it halfway across the room. It was pretty funny. Anyways, you have to hate him. And that's the thing here. But he also has to wrestle and build up this match with whoever. I'm expecting it's going to be against Adam Page, just because that's the most logical right now storyline. Adam Cole couldn't get it done against Adam Page, so he brings in Jay White, the leader of the Bullet Club, to take out the trash, for lack of a better word.
Yeah.
But you have to have him actually wrestle. He can't just come out and say, "I'm here to wrestle so and so," right? If you're, gonna have Minoru Suzuki involved again, you have to have him wrestle some more time so people do it and build up. It can't just be like he's gonna have a match against this person. You have to build up some sort of a feud, a program, to get people excited about it. The same thing with Will Ospreay. The same thing with Tanahashi. Tanahashi is the one who John Moxley is feuding with on New Japan right now. So having Tanahashi appear at this could be a way to go. But you have to have him come out here and show. Tetsuya Naito has to show up.
Yeah.
To get the AEW fans like JLB who don't watch New Japan to know who they are and see some of what they can do and get excited for.
Well, and how long has this been in play? I mean, we've had Minoru Suzuki 6 months, 9 months ago.
Mm-hmm.
We've started getting a lot of these guys since then. So
yeah. Well, that's the deal. Is I'm sure talks have been going back and forth for months about the potential of doing this.
Yeah.
I mean, it started with the fabled Forbidden Door opening a year and a half ago. When he opened the Forbidden Door and said, now the Forbidden Door's open. That started the seed for it. When the actual matches started to take shape, who knows specifically. But in the end,
What?
We
can't hear you.
What?
Seriously.
It's June 26th, so
yeah,
they have a little while. And honestly, I feel like they almost should have announced if it was the case of an HBO stream, so you can say, hey, watch all these kind of matches to get the people going. I imagine New Japan is here until June, though, like in the sense that all the wrestlers aren't going to go back and forth like crazy. Maybe there's no New Japan shows that are happening until then. So I almost feel like we're going to see a lot more on Rampage, Dynamite, hell, maybe even Elevation or the other one. And they have to promote it properly, though.
Here's the deal. I like the idea of a stream. Is a streaming service going to pick anything up for AEW in terms of revenue? I mean,
they're
doing pay-per-view and they're having great sell rates.
Yeah, for just AEW, no. But I think
AEW New
AEW
Japan
plus, an AEW plus Ring of Honor for the streaming, that's going to be the thing for it, because he now owns that. And so right now, here's the deal with New Japan. They've got some wrestlers over here doing the New Japan Strong stuff. But they had a match today in the NGPW Golden Fight Series 2022 was in Kochi, Japan today. They've got another one tomorrow in Hiroshima and Fukuyama. I mean, they're still running those all month. But they also have Capital Collision next month in Washington. And then Strong the day afterwards in Philadelphia. And then they go back to Dominion in fact, they're wrestling Dominion 2 weeks earlier in Japan at Osaka. So there are going to be some wrestlers flying back and forth. This comes about because we're no longer under the COVID restrictions where you have to quarantine for 2 weeks. After test and fly and then test again and you're good to go, sort of a thing. But anyways, in the end, they're going to be flying back and forth. There still will be some wrestlers. I think Ospreay is staying over here right now, just doing programs over here and not flying back and forth. I think a bunch of them are going to be doing just one side or the other, sort of a thing. But at the same point, I would like to see some AEW stars fly over there and appear on some of their things. One thing that hasn't been officially confirmed or denied. They hinted at it. Bushiroad, which owns New Japan, also owns Stardom.
Okay.
So as of right now, it hasn't been officially announced if Stardom is going to be included in this show. If Stardom isn't, then the show isn't going to have any cross-promotional women's matches because New Japan is men's only, Stardom is women's only. It's kind of the weird thing they do over there. So I would like to see them announce that Stardom is part of it. But as of right now, they haven't announced that. In terms of streaming, I'm sure
they have New Japan Power too, right? Maybe like Tony Khan could be like, "Hey, let me give the Americans New Japan Power like a special deal for 2 months. Put a bunch of shit there with my AEW wrestlers and thing."
Yeah. To clarify, it's New Japan Strong. Power is NWA, different promotion. Just to clarify.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah,
but that was the deal.
You knew he wasn't going to let that go because smart.
I wasn't going to let that go. No. NWA is a different promotion, and
no. But the fucking the thing they have contract with Video Library, AEW is going to be there.
The
Video
the
Library?
New Japan one. The New Japan is called New Japan World. Is their streaming
World?
service.
I'm sorry, but you know what I meant. Stop it.
No, I thought you were referring to their TV show, which is called Strong.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
Anyways, here's what it comes down to. I'm sure the reason that they didn't announce an HBO streaming or anything like that is because the deal isn't done yet with whoever they're going to. They're working on a deal. HBO was the front runner for it. HBO is going through a bit of a change up going on right now. So whatever they were working on a month ago, they might be back to ground zero on working on it again. And that's because HBO and Discovery merged. Time Warner Media merged with Discovery. Discovery actually bought them, which actually surprised me when I read that. I had to like double read it. I was like, wait, Discovery bought Warner Media?
That's crazy.
Discovery's gotten big enough that it could buy Warner Media? Apparently it has. But so now the former CEO of Warner Media Streaming is gone and replaced by a CEO from Discovery. So if Tony was negotiating with the CEO of Warner Media, he had to go back to square one a few weeks ago and start renegotiating with the CEO, the new CEO of Warner Media from Discovery. And so that might have threw some wrenches into it. And the thing is, we knew this was happening. This was announced months and months and months ago. It wasn't a surprise to Tony. And so I'm sure he was trying to get the deal done before the merger happened. And when it didn't, he knew that was going to throw some wrenches into some things and he'd start from scratch. But all reports I've read say it's still likely that HBO is going to be the streaming provider for AEW and Ring of Honor, but it's not by any means a done deal yet. And that being said, like you said, or like Fabe said, they've been doing really good on pay-per-view buys. And that might be part of their math is we want a streaming provider to provide streaming, but do we want them to do day of streaming of pay-per-views or at the time streaming of pay-per-views? Or do we want the pay-per-views to remain a separate purchase that you purchase someplace? And right. HBO does have the ability, HBO Max does have the ability to do still a charge for pay-per-view, right?
Right.
Just like Disney did for some of their movies on streaming, where you had to pay an extra $20 to watch the movie. But it was the new Mulan movie was one of them they did that with. Anyways,
Black Widow for a while.
Was Black Widow a pay for streaming? I didn't think it was.
Yeah, it was.
Was it?
Yeah. Well, I mean, like the first, I think.
Well, HBO did it with Wonder Woman. The second
Well,
one
everyone
movie?
does it. Like even for instance,
No,
Uncharted now.
all of the all of the HBO movies that went on there were part of the
Straight to?
subscription. Yep. They were limited release. Wonder Woman was only on there for a month, but it was still part of the regular subscription price. But they can do it. They have the capability of saying, here's something, but for this thing, you have to pay extra, right? And so, here is AEW content. You can stream all of the Dynamites and all of the Rampages and all of the past pay-per-views on here. But if you want to watch the pay-per-views live, you have to pay an additional $29.95 or whatever. They might continue to do that.
Saturday.
Who knows? But that definitely might be part of the math that they're dealing with is, do we want to give
Our
up
buy
on
rates are
pay-per-view
still
buys?
good.
Because our buy rates are still really good. Going to a streaming exclusive, is that going to hurt us in the long run if we're we're doing 200,000 buys on pay-per-view at $49.99. If we go as part of the HBO streaming thing, what do we have to get out of it in terms of monetary input to make it worth it for us to not be getting that $49.99?
Right.
But the other side of the coin is, if they ever want their streaming to be a rival to Peacock's streaming of WWE, it's getting that content up on a streaming platform. So people are like, let's sign up for HBO Max or whatever it is. Say it's not HBO. Say it's, Disney Plus. Yeah, I doubt it. But, let's just say, we have to provide them with enough of a background so that people sign up for it to see the AEW and Ring of Honor back catalog. AEW now has 3 years of back catalog, which is a lot better, a lot more enticing. They also have all of the darks that they could actually pull from YouTube and put as exclusive to whatever streaming they do. So,
What?
You gotta stop. You gotta stop. I swear to fucking God. Like, plus on top of that, yeah. So 3 years, not just Dynamite and Rampage, which is. Oh, okay. I thought you fucking did it again. Not with Dynamite and Rampage, but you have also the Elevation and Dark stuff, and that's all on YouTube. But then take it off YouTube and put it directly onto this platform. That'd be dope.
Yep.
Because I'd watch it. I'd actually watch it more probably than fucking, I don't know. I feel like YouTube is not a great place for that for some reason. I don't know why.
It's a good enough place for watching it weekly. But in the end, if you want to make it a premium thing, that's going to be something, have it, you can still have it alone.
Can't be alone, obviously. But
you could still have it be a limited time YouTube thing where for, the first week you can watch it on YouTube. And then after that, you can find it on HBO Max or whatever, So if you want to watch old versions of it, go over to HBO Max, all the archived ones. The real thing would be if HBO Max can do this, it's something that I miss from the WWE Network, is being able to search by wrestler match, right? So not just say, I want to watch the All Out 2020, but I want to watch the Kenny Omega match from All Out 2020 and jump straight to that match,
Right.
Because you can't do that on Peacock. For WWE.
Sure, you can't look up Kenny Omega on Peacock.
Nope.
They haven't even fixed
you can't find Kenny Omega on Peacock at all. Yes, you're right.
Yeah.
You keep searching. No, but like say you go to SummerSlam 2004 and you want to find the Triple H match of that. You can't on Peacock go to it and jump straight to the Triple H match. You basically have to start at the beginning and fast forward until. And I've talked before about how shitty the fast forward is on Peacock. Because
that's fixed now, no?
Because there's not a.
It doesn't pop up a ticker preview as you're fast forwarding.
But then they fixed that?
No. So you can fast forward, but you have to stop every once in a while to see where you're at.
Dirty.
Didn't you get that fixed on Peacock that I'm not required to have to be able to watch WWE?
Yeah. Yep. Nope. It's still not fixed.
It's not like a higher tier thing or something?
Nope. It's just not something that their app does currently. And it's not just, I'm going to say, it's not just on WWE. If you're watching Brooklyn Nine-Nine on Peacock and you want to fast forward,
same shit.
You have to press fast forward, and it does that fast forward 2x, 6x,
right.
12x, whatever. But the preview doesn't show you where you're at, so you have to stop and press play every once in a while.
Crave does that too, though. Crave does that as well, technically.
It's stupid.
HBO would be the same.
HBO Max is not the same. HBO Max now you can fast forward. It gives you a little preview as you fast forward.
Oh, we don't have that here for some reason.
And so,
okay,
because HBO Max is good.
They have enough money behind them. So does Peacock technically. But.
Yeah, of the streaming services that I have access to, not even just talking wrestling, but of all of those, HBO Max is by far one of the better setup ones. Yeah. Disney Plus is set up really well as well.
Yeah.
Amazon.
The one thing that bugs me about Amazon, and this might just be the Android TV app for it, but it doesn't always group all of the seasons together into one listing. No, so if you're wanting to watch something that's got 4 seasons, you've got 4 separate listings.
The cool part
to
of the
see
Amazon
the episodes.
Is you can buy the television shows that are on other streams.
Yeah. The other thing is,
just give fucking what's his face more money. Why don't you?
Well, it also makes it a little hard sometimes to tell whether something is free with Amazon Prime or to pay for it.
Oh yeah,
you have to click into it.
Yeah.
And see, oh, nope, I got to pay for this one. So you got to go back. And I do wish they just had a tab on that. And I know why they don't. I'm not an idiot.
It's marketing.
This is marketing and commerce, capitalism 101. I know why they don't, but it would be nice if they just had a tab on it that said free with Prime. And then the only things that showed in that tab were the ones that were free. Or even a check mark in the search dialog when you're searching for something that just says only show me Prime listings. And I know, again, why they don't. It just bugs me. Anyways. But Amazon's not horrible. I actually binged the entire season of Reacher on Amazon the other day. And it was fucking phenomenal. So if you like Jack Reacher, watch the Amazon Prime show Reacher.
I have purchased the first 5 seasons of Letterkenny.
There you go.
Amazon.
Or Purge. Purge, the TV show, I enjoyed it, at least.
Pitter patter.
Pitter patter. Let's get at her.
Allegedly.
So
the other big news as well, which was he tweeted it himself, is apparently Freddie Prinze Jr. is going to be opening up his own little indie fed.
Mm-hmm.
Heard about that?
Yeah, he
That's
said
pretty interesting.
What was it? The success of AEW has kind of rekindled his love with professional wrestling,
which is really cool,
and inspired him to open his own indie promotion.
We acknowledge you,
yes,
Prinze Jr.
And in the end, more indies is always better.
Yes.
Even if it's an indie that I'm never going to get to see, because most likely it's going to be based probably West Coast.
LA.
And I'm not going to be able to see it, at least live. It still provides income and opportunity for a lot of these wrestlers who are not currently on full-time contract with one of the companies.
Any of the companies, yeah. Or who are currently with a freedom contract.
Yes. But yeah, apparently that this kind of relates to what we were talking about. Apparently, a bunch of AEW personnel had to pull out of the PWG show coming up in a few weeks.
You didn't mute your mic. Good job.
had to pull out of the PWG show coming up because due to a scheduling conflict, AEW Dark and Dark Elevation have to be filmed a day later, and that would conflict. So a bunch of AEW wrestlers had to pull out so that they could be at AEW Dark. That's sad, but business is. Jack Evans has announced that he is not being re-signed to another contract with AEW, and he's super talented, and it's kind of sad to see him go, but at the same point, Hybrid 2 really didn't fit in AEW, and they never really found their place. You know what I mean?
That's the nice part about the timeline starting to show up for AEW, is we're starting to see what they are. Mm-hmm. And they really are close to the premium instead of a good option that isn't owned by Vince. This is a competitor at this juncture now, which is unfortunate for guys like Jack Evans or Marco Stunt or.
And the big thing with Jack Evans is, I'm trying to find the exact tweet here. Because he tweeted out that he wasn't going to be re-signing, and then someone there we go. No, that's just a picture. He said no hatred to AEW. So he said, my time with AEW has been fun and enjoyable, but it has come to an end, and I will not be re-signing when my contract ends at the end of April. I'd like to thank everyone at AEW and the AEW fans for the opportunity. And then someone replied to it and was like, bad-mouthing AEW, saying, whatever. And he responded,
what happened?
Jack Evans not re-signing with AEW. Someone said, heartless to do this. And he goes, nah, it's part of the business. Not to diss myself, but I wasn't given any added value to the company, truthfully. And with a big roster, you got to make cuts.
Oh, that's a very mature answer.
Yeah.
Good for him.
And then And someone tweeted, I cannot believe that Tony Khan would not renew Jack's contract. Tony Khan, C-O-N, does not care about his talents. And Jack Evans is like, can't tell if this is sarcastic, but it's not really the case. There's only a set amount of time the company has to give a soon-to-be-released talent. Coveted airtime isn't how it's done. And I'm trying to find it later. He talked about it. I think the release is largely because after 4 months of COVID layoff and then the time off from the broken face, I had a performance drop off and that I never actually really came back from. And so he doesn't know what his future is. He might be returning to AAA or someplace else, but he doesn't really know. And I wish him the best. He's super talented, like I said. But again, and I think he admits it, is he just never really found his place in AEW. Like, he didn't like stick with the fans, and so there wasn't like a fan base that were loyal. Jack Evans.
He also didn't have the ability to. So sometimes you get a face break, and it gives you the ability to pull certain character changes and stuff like that. That his injury didn't allow for that.
No.
He couldn't come out in a mask like Sheamus for a while, or Cody Rhodes, dashing Cody Rhodes gimmick, and I can't deal with the fact that I'm going to be a freak.
Yeah. Well, and like I said, I mean, the simple fact is he's super talented, but his gimmick was effectively, I flip around a lot.
Yeah.
And in a roster full of people who flip around a lot, there just wasn't anything that really set him apart.
Correct.
Angelico was kind of the same. I mean, unfortunately, I fully expect Angelico's name to be on the chopping block here soon. I think we talked about it months ago when I first brought up the fact that AEW contracts were going to start expiring, and some of them just weren't going to get renewed. But I do want to point out, because it is important, that there is a big difference between AEW allowing a contract to expire after signing a person to a 3-year deal, and continuing to pay them through an injury and continuing to pay them through the entire pandemic, even when they weren't having fans in the crowd for a large chunk of it, and they weren't, able to do the shows that they really wanted to do. There's a big difference between that and a company that is making record profits based off of a deal with Saudi Arabia and a deal with Fox that would literally pay their bills for the next 10 years, both of them, and cutting a bunch of people citing budget cuts. There's a really big difference between those.
Here we go again.
And so I don't want.
We haven't had it yet, though. We haven't had
this year's cuts didn't come when we would have expected them. So, and to be perfectly honest, if you look at WWE's roster right now, there's not a ton of room for cuts outside of developmental. So I suspect we've reached a point where WWE has cleared up as much of their bloated roster, because let's be honest, a lot of those cuts were based off of the first year of AEW, WWE just hoarding talent as much as they could. But again, it's still a big difference between cutting someone mid-contract when you're making record profits and letting someone's contract expire after 3 years when you as a business would have been better to cut them 2 years ago, right? Let's be honest. Jack Evans hasn't wrestled in AEW or didn't wrestle for a chunk of time. I think he wrestled on Dark a few times recently after the injury, but let's just pull up the cage match. Cage match.
Ooh, somebody's blowing.
Let's see.
The wind is heavy tonight.
He wrestled back in February on AEW Dark, and January in AEW Dark, and let's see here. Yeah, there. AEW Dark in October, and then he didn't wrestle again until January. So there was a 3-month period there that he didn't wrestle at all for AEW. And there were plenty of times during this, because almost all of his matches over the course of the last year were on AEW Dark, right? Or Elevation. From a business standpoint, from a monetary standpoint, purely monetary, AEW could have saved money by cutting him at some point in the last year or year and a half, right?
Correct.
But they didn't. And it's very important for us to recognize that they continued to pay him and continued to use him on AEW Dark, even though it was obvious that they did not have a plan for him on the main roster, right? They did not have a plan to use him on TV. I mean, let's see here. Let's go back. January of 2021. Let's see how many times he was used on actual, Dynamite or Rampage. We'll include either of those. I will even include pay-per-views. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 times. 6 times in a year and 4 months. They used him on TV. That says a lot. They didn't have a plan for him. And by this point, Tony Khan, if he was purely concerned with the bottom line, purely concerned with ones and zeros, right? He would have made the decision a year ago to cut Jack Evans. And he would have been more or less justified in it. Because, again, AEW still operates in the red. They're because of commitments to things like the video game and stuff like that. They're not currently operating in the black. They're operating in the red. So they would have been better off financially to have cut him, but they didn't. The same with Angelico. The same with Marco Stunt. The same with probably half a dozen other names that we're going to hear about in the next month, right? They would have been better off financially to have cut them. And they chose not to. They chose to see out their contracts, which is the way business is supposed to run, right? You sign someone to a contract, you obey the contract. But even if AEW had cut Jack Evans a year ago, right? And said, listen, he's just not working out for us. We're going to cut him. We're going to call it budget cuts or whatever. The difference is they wouldn't have been lying. They wouldn't have been lying to Jack Evans. They wouldn't have been lying to their fans because, again, they're operating in the red, and it's fully expected for a company that's operating in the red to look at their budget and say, hey, maybe this person isn't pulling their own weight. Let's cut weight with them and let's save some money. And AEW specifically did not do that. Now, I'm not saying that WWE is evil, bad company, AEW super good company, but I am saying that it is a difference that we need to at least address and understand. That AEW made the choice that Tony Khan made the choice that he would lose money on this wrestler to see out their contract rather than save money by cutting their contract in the middle of a pandemic, right? And that he did that despite it being the worst at the time business move, right? Now, here's where it becomes a better business move, long run, right? It ingratiates yourself with your fans and with your wrestlers, right? And we're seeing this right now with FTR. Report came out this week that WWE really likes FTR and wants to bring them back.
Which is fucked. Which is really, really, really fucked, and I hope they don't go. I don't care if you get Bret Hart on some lucrative deal. Fuck off.
Well, here's the deal. This is why I say
the fuck off.
This is why I say it's important that they did something like this, because after the report came out that WWE was interested in FTR, which again, if they really liked FTR, they wouldn't have pissed down their legs when they had them as the Revival. They wouldn't have treated them as badly. And we've all seen those pictures of the costumes that they were going to have them wear. It was dumb, right? Mm-hmm. But here's the deal: is I get it, right? Sometimes you have a talent and then they leave, and then they prove later that they're actually pretty good, and that you could have used them better, and you regret it, and you bring them back. I mean, they did it with they did it right now with Cody Rhodes. They did it before with Bobby Lashley. They did it with Drew McIntyre, right?
In defense of all three of those, though, those were ones that had changed and developed quite a bit. Whereas FTR was good when they were there.
Mm-hmm. But I'm trying to find the exact tweet from, I thought it was Dax Harwood, but maybe it was Cash. Maybe I'm on the wrong. Maybe it was Cash Wheeler. Anyways, after the reports came out that WWE was interested in them, they came out and issued a statement, and they said, they said, here's the deal. We respect Tony Khan, And out of our respect for Tony Khan, out of the good faith that we have with Tony Khan, we will not talk to any other wrestling company about a promotion, about a contract while we are under contract with Tony Khan. Right? And that's the sort of thing that this breeds, right? Because these wrestlers see that Tony Khan is willing to, more than even willing to, does see out your contract. Unless you specifically ask to get out, you get to stay under your contract. He obeys the deal that he made with you to the end, right? That the wrestlers are going to obey the deal on their side to the end, right?
Yeah.
I mean, you know, that this is the payoff to that. Because the last thing Tony Khan wants is a team like FTR to come to their show and be really good on their show and then fuck off back to WWE. You know, ask to get out of their contract after a year and go back to WWE, right? That's not what they want, right? He wants them to come there and continue to be happy and stay around. And even if they're not the AEW tag team champions, they are obviously happy there, right? And they're not going to you know, go start talking to the other person behind the back. And you know, I'm going to point out the same thing with happened with Cody Rhodes. As you know, even though things were falling apart between Cody Rhodes and Tony Khan, Cody Rhodes had decided that that maybe it was time to move on. He stayed out the end of his contract. He worked after the end of his contract on a per match deal, right? Continued to negotiate with them, but also then started negotiating with the other people and eventually got a big deal that he wanted, right? But he didn't badmouth. He still hasn't badmouthed AEW. In fact, it came out this week that that Cody Rhodes honored a deal that he'd made with a fan months ago while he was in AEW. This fan had reached out to him on Twitter and said, you know, I know AEW's coming to my town in a few months. I just wish I could afford tickets, but I can't. And, you know, this has happened with my family, and that's why. And Cody Rhodes tweeted at him, hit me up. I'm going to arrange for you to have tickets. And Cody Rhodes arranged for that guy to have tickets to this week's Dynamite, even though Cody Rhodes is not with the company anymore.
It's impressive.
And that tells me that in the end, there's no bad blood between Tony Khan and Cody Rhodes. Cody Rhodes just wanted more than Tony Khan was willing to do, and Cody realized that he had a chance to go be a star someplace else. And so far, WWE has stayed true to that and presented him as a big star. And we've talked on a previous show about the fact that WWE has to do that now, right? If they want a chance at getting anyone in the future to jump from AEW to WWE, they have to take this opportunity with Cody and present him seriously as a star now. So that in however many months when Dax Harwood and Cash Wheeler's contracts are up with AEW, if they would have any chance at luring them back. You're not going to lure someone back if you bring Cody Rhodes back and then stick him in a Stardust gimmick, right? Because then FTR is going to go, well, shit, we remember what they wanted to do with us. We're not going back to that. All of the former WWE guys would look at that and go, yeah, no, I'm not going back to that. If they're going to just present me as the way that I wanted to get away from. And then the people who weren't in WWE are going to look at that and go, man, if that's the way they present one of the biggest names in the wrestling world when he comes back to them, right? How are they going to present me? Sammy Guevara is going to say, if I go over to WWE, how are they going to present me? I don't have nearly the stardom that Cody Rhodes had, and they made him Stardust again. So,
Right.
And I think WWE knows this. I think they know that they have to continue to present Cody as a star for at least as long as the pop is still there for him. If fan reaction cools off on Cody, WWE's reaction will cool off. But I think they understand that they have to do that for a long time if they want any chance at getting any of the people to jump in the future. But I would say that Cody Rhodes jumping was probably the first volley in the real war that's been brewing. Like WWE treated it as WWE as NXT versus AEW for the first 2 years. But I think WWE now truly sees AEW as competition, even though they won't say it. And bringing Cody was their first shot at continuing that and making that war happen. Anyways. But yeah, I mean, WWE's not going to reach out to Jack Evans. Unfortunately, he would be a great get for them.
Yeah, that's very true.
But they're not going to because he's not.
Well, I mean, maybe NXT 2.0 or something, but not main roster.
Nah. I think NXT is gone to they're now going to start recruiting athletes, not wrestlers. I mean, it really started with Braun Breaker, and I'm not trying to diss Braun Breaker. Braun Breaker's been a breath of fresh air. And he's been phenomenal, right? But he came to WWE with a lineage as a professional wrestler from his family, but a history as an athlete, right? And he was brought in with almost no actual wrestling training, but he was an athlete, and I think that's the mold going forward. And he's been really good.
You know, Gable Steveson the same
way.
What
do you mean? Braun Breaker had no wrestling training?
I mean, I'm sure he had like backyard training with his dad, but he never went to like a real wrestling academy. He never trained in it. He was a football player until a year ago.
Oh,
Ronda Rousey, Gable Steveson are both examples of that.
Yep. They're going to bring in.
I just assumed he had went the wrestling route because of his father, but guess not.
Nope, he went football, and then because he's only 24 right now.
Oh wow, okay.
Yep,
I thought he was older.
Kennesaw State University. And he wrestled his first match in 2020, October 2020, and by February, WWE had signed him. But he was an undrafted free agent for the Baltimore Ravens and was released in August 2020. So August 2020, he was a professional football player, and then he gets released. October 8th of 2020, 2 months later, he makes his debut as a professional wrestler once his football career was over, right? That's the route that WWE is taking now. And you can see that by most of their like signings and talk backstage, you know,
Sure.
like DFA mentioned, Gable Steveson, right? He's a collegiate wrestler. What they would call amateur wrestler, which is a dumb name for it, but that's the way they call it. But yeah, and now he's got a contract with WWE and he's training in WWE. That's the sort of thing that they're doing, is they're going after either names that they can capitalize on, which Gable Steveson is also a name. Although with WWE's recent edict that they're not allowed to use their real names or their independent wrestling names. Who knows whether Gable Steveson continues to be called Gable Steveson? Who knows?
Man alive, how do you not?
I don't know, but you know
Ronda Rousey. This is Ronda.
they like I said, I when I heard that statement come out that Vince McMahon sent out the memo saying that people are no longer allowed to use their real names or their independent wrestling names, I thought to myself, Jesus, how many people is that going to affect? A fuck ton is what it is.
Rousey.
Yeah. And like I said, I think Gable Steveson and Ronda Rousey are going to be exceptions to the rule, but but I mean, it's part of the reason that they've gone to just calling him Riddle instead of Matt Riddle, because Matt Riddle was, and you know, again,
A big name before this.
yeah, and again, I mean, you know, this isn't new. It's all about copyrights and trademarks, you know. But you know, there are a lot of wrestlers, especially when you get to NXT, that are having to change. I mean, Casey Catanzaro had to change her name. Casey Catanzaro was a celebrity who came from American Ninja Warrior, right?
Yeah.
She had celebrity name recognition behind her, and they've made her change her name to Katana Chance.
Still a stupid name.
Oh, it's the dumbest name. And fucking, I like Casey Catanzaro, but the WWE promo that they wrote for her, did you see when she delivered the promo?
I did not.
I'm gonna try to.
Was it
See, but
was
it's
it
worked out
cringe?
well for Sonya Deville.
Why? What was her name before?
What is Sonya Deville's real name?
Dario Benito. Dario.
Oh, it's not even. I thought it had
Yeah.
Sonya in it. Okay.
No.
I was headed to the machine that tells me
Daria Baronato. Right. But she changed her name to Sonya Deville right after joining WWE.
Yeah.
You know. Let's see here. A digital exclusive NXT 2.0 interview. Casey Catanzaro delivered this promo. Everybody knows me as Casey Catanzaro, and that is me. But there are parts of me that people haven't seen, except maybe Caden, where I get to do what I want. And that's like shooting back straight whiskey and letting loose. And Caden isn't the only one who can party and shake a little something. That is Katana Chance. And that is the energy that I'll be bringing to NXT from now on.
Oh, skinny, tiny, Stone Cold.
Likes to shoot back straight whiskey and shake a little something.
Acolyte Shaken Agency. ASS.
Yeah, I watched that and I was like, okay, I guarantee you she didn't write that. I guarantee you that was written by a team of writers who were like, how do we explain this name change? Well, let's say that this is her letting loose and
multiple personalities.
And this is her thing. But like just looking at the female wrestlers in NXT, right? Candice LeRae, she's currently inactive on maternity leave, but she's still signed, right? Are they going to force her to change her name, right?
Well, I mean, it's perfect to have her come back as Candice Gargano.
But they probably can't, because I bet you Johnny Gargano has trademarked that since then. Let me look. Saray, who wrestled in New Japan as Saray.
Nope, that's gonna change.
That's gonna change, definitely. Let's look at Cameron Grimes wrestled as Trevor Lee, so they did change his name, so he'll get to keep that name. Although they might just start calling him Grimes or Cameron.
Grimes.
There was one that I saw, and Joe Gacy wrestled under the name Joe Gacy, and now he's a big star in NXT. And what are they going to do? Suddenly change his name for no reason? Probably. Roderick Strong wrestled as Roderick Strong, going clear back to Ring of Honor, to Impact Wrestling. Are they going to suddenly change his name? Probably, I guess.
Probably. To what is the question?
Yeah.
How stupid will they go?
Let's see. Let's see. Current Performance Center trainees. I'm trying to see if there was, because I think there was at least one. Oh, here's one that's just jumping out. Simone Johnson, who's in the Performance Center. Are you really telling me that you're not going to try to capitalize on the fact that her father's The Rock?
They're going to call her Rockette.
I'm going to say she's Pebble.
Pebble.
The Stone.
Yeah. Simone the Stone Johnson.
Oh my God! No, they won't use Johnson though.
No, they won't, because that's her real name.
Simone
Yeah.
the Stone Pebble.
Stony.
Let's see. Is there a female version of Rocky Maivia that they could use? Rockette Maivia?
You could go Stony Maivia.
Stony Maivia?
Yeah.
Try
She
to do that.
changes her name to the Stone. But then, of course, that would have to mean that they'd have to do the race war that they had in 1996.
Yeah. Bring back the nation of domination. Anyways.
Women.
Yeah. But so, anywho's, what happened on Raw this week? Now I'm thinking of it. Raw results. Because frankly,
KO got beat by Cody.
yes, that did happen.
Well,
I
I
remember
mean, because of a DQ finish. Lame.
But yeah, I remember part of Raw, and then my allergy medication made things go a little loopy. So let's see.
Oh no, me didn't miss much.
Same thing happened on.
Bianca Belair gave Adam Pearce $1 for her.
Yeah, I do remember that. That was her fine for assaulting Sonya Deville. Yeah, Cody Rhodes defeated Kevin Owens by a count out.
Cody who?
Cody Rhodes.
Rhodes.
My nostrils plugged up, so my D wasn't as strong as it should have been. I apologize. It did almost sound like I was talking about Cody Rhodes. And
one job.
Naomi and Sasha Banks defeated Liv Morgan and Rhea Ripley, which also then featured the heel turn by Rhea Ripley. Maybe heel turn? The turn on Liv Morgan. I assume that they're classifying that as a heel turn, but I don't know.
Poor Live.
Yeah, poor Live Morgan. Veer defeated some schmo.
Oh my God, I missed his match again? Oh no, he faced like a jobber. It's
Yeah,
true.
some schmo.
Lame.
Jeff Brooks is the name they give here.
Once you've came, you can have multiple matches.
Yeah, you can just keep doing matches. But they did talk about how he injured Dominic Mysterio the previous week, and I was like, you're not going to have him beat up Dominic again. That's fun. Ezekiel passed the lie detector test.
Ooh, that was kind of fun.
That was kind
Speak
of predictable.
with Zeke.
Yeah, they really needed to come up with a WWE phrase that they could use. Not walk with Elias, but are you ready to work with Ezekiel or something like that? You know what I mean? But speak with Zeke. What does WWE stand for? Work with Ezekiel. Would have been better. But Street Profits defeated RK Bro. Edge and Damian Priest continued to attack AJ Styles. Oh, big news. Theory defeated Finn Balor.
Just
Oh,
theory.
Just theory,
just
right?
theory.
With the A-Town down to get the win. So a short title reign by Finn Balor. I'm not gonna bag on WWE for wasting Finn Balor as a champion because I get it. Storylines, you're trying to elevate Austin Theory. I do think that the match could have taken place at a pay-per-view and elevated him better, but I get it. Whatever.
Oh, so yeah, I mean, at least the top turnbuckle didn't break.
Yeah, at least it wasn't a turnbuckle break that they've never explained.
I'm telling you, it's the weight of the demon's power.
That's at least an explanation that they could have put out, but they've just pretended like it didn't happen.
The demon is a heavyweight. He's 647 pounds.
Oh, that was the big thing this week. The marriage for Reggie and Dana Brooke and Tamina
right.
and Akira Tozawa.
Oh, that was a garbage segment. Oh, please.
You mean
please.
they actually had the marriage?
Yeah.
Oh, thank God I missed that.
Yeah.
For the
Like with a
24/7
priest and everything?
championship?
Well,
here's the wedding.
R-Truth is ordained, so he did.
Oh, yes. R-Truth is the only thing that makes that somewhat entertaining. Kudos to
there was
R-Truth for
there
doing
was a
that.
whole thing in the middle of it where they started swapping partners and are they going to marry someone else or whatever? I can't even remember exactly how it went. And then in the end, they were married, and then Reggie pinned Dana Brooke to win the 24/7, and then Tamina pinned Reggie, and then Tozawa pinned Tamina, and then Brooke pinned Tozawa and left as champion. And it was like, what was the point of this?
Yep.
Remember when the 24/7 championship was something that they presented as an exciting thing that could happen outside of WWE TV?
Yeah, I mean, where was R-Truth in this? He had a chance to pin somebody.
Yep.
Get his 67th title reign.
Well, or why didn't this happen on a YouTube segment for, at an actual wedding hall or something, I mean, remember, Drake Maverick got pinned at his actual wedding.
Yeah.
To lose the title. In a internet segment that they did, not just something thrown away on TV. Anyways, whatever. So, AEW at least had some fun stuff. Let's see, Dynamite result, and we'll also pull up Rampage results while we're here. So, we had the coffin match, Darby Allin versus Andrade.
Not to be confused with the casket match. This one's a coffin
Yes,
match.
this is a coffin match. It's important for trademark purposes. Important. Wardlow versus The Butcher. CM Punk versus Dustin Rhodes. That actually started it off, which was a great match to start the night off with, if you ask me. A very technical match. CM Punk wore Bret Hart-inspired trunks. So, Jungle Boy versus Kyle O'Reilly. Danielle Camella versus Dr. Britt Baker. Hook defeated someone and then got challenged. And then the announcement. And Blackpool Combat Club versus Brock Anderson, Lee Moriarty, and Dante Martin. That was actually a fun match, if you ask me. I like it because it showcased all 3 members of Blackpool Combat Club, and it still made Wheeler Yuta look like a star. It also made Moriarty look really good, which makes me wonder if Moriarty's not going to be the next
one stolen.
Yeah, next person recruited into Blackpool Combat Club. Kyle O'Reilly.
It's gonna get bigger, no? It's just gonna become a bigger club, I feel, though, correct? It's not just gonna
I think
be
they're
those
going to
three?
bring Lee Moriarty in, and there's going to be 4 people, and then I think that's going to be kind of their thing, is to bring in the young up and comers, and make them vicious. Kyle O'Reilly won versus Jungle Boy, so he goes on in the Owen Hart tournament, which is really cool. Hook beat up Anthony Henry and just beat the tar out of him, and then won. And then Danhausen challenged him to a fight. And then what was kind of neat, I feel like we got a double turn on Dynamite. We'll talk about this for a bit. Because I think they finally did the Sammy Guevara and Ty Conti heel turn.
Lame.
And at the same time, I think they did the Scorpio Sky face turn.
Okay.
Because they had Scorpio Sky come and interrupt a interview with Kazarian, right? Frankie Kazarian. And he said, listen, man, you've always had my back. I respect you and everything. Here's the deal. I want my rematch for that TNT title. And, once I get that title back, you'll be the first person to get a shot. And Kaz was like, listen, we've been partners. We've been boys since day one. Yeah, I've always got your back. You go have your match. And that's a very face thing to do, right? He didn't weasel his way in it. He didn't push it, he said, listen, give me a shot to do this first. And Frankie Kazarian is a very face wrestler. He's been face the entire time. So having them do that. But then on top of that, Sammy Guevara and Ty Conti came out and they were wearing the most over-the-top hideous clothing, like coats and stuff, that I've seen them do yet. And if anything with my time in professional wrestling has taught me, it's when you dress like an a-hole, that's the subtle way of telling the crowd that you're supposed to be a heel. And then they gave the speech of, something along the lines of, we appreciate the crowd and everything, but you never did anything for us. And they said something like that. And I was like, yep, Sammy and Ty are heels now. So I think this was a double turn. Clearly a double turn there. And that's what I've been saying ever since they started calling Ty and Sammy America's favorite couple. I was like, this is a heel turn for Sammy. I just didn't expect them to turn Scorpio Sky face in the product of it.
Yeah, that's a bit, and I don't even know if that would help Scorpio Sky. He still has to get charisma. I don't care if he's face or heel. Dude has to just, I don't know, change up his gimmick.
You're one of the few people I've ever talked to who says Scorpio Sky needs charisma.
Outside of the ring, I mean promo charisma.
Again,
I'm going to go ahead and disagree too.
Yeah,
he's fine.
Scorpio Sky has all the talent and charisma to do it. I think Men of the Year, to be perfectly honest, I think probably the biggest problem, and I know some people will disagree on this, but I think Dan Lambert's been holding them back. Because Dan Lambert comes
good
up,
for them. Like, he's too powerful, I almost feel.
I think the problem is it puts too much focus on Dan Lambert and not enough on
That's it.
Scorpio and Ethan Page. But Daniel Camella lost to Britt Baker. It took place in Pittsburgh, so that's to be expected. And then the coffin match. And this was a chaotic match. And it featured one of my favorite spots that wrestling has done, and they've done it repeatedly since 1996. 97, I think, is the first time they did it. And that's the person in a Sting mask turns out to actually be Sting. Love that spot.
What?
I always love it because it's always like, oh, that's not Sting. That's just a guy in a mask. It's Sting. Like, yeah.
It's Sting.
But it was a fun moment because he was in the crowd with a Darby Allin sign and a baseball cap on and a Sting mask, and then they ripped up the sign and turned away, and then he pulled the mask off and the baseball cap off. And then he did a dive off the balcony onto Lincoln. I'm like, this 63-year-old man needs to stop doing
Yeah,
this.
straight up.
I do not want to watch the death of my icon Sting um, on pay-per-view.
Or live television, for
Or
that
live
matter.
television.
Well, I mean, I think now it's almost a rush for him, kind of like a Jeff Hardy rush sort of
It
ordeal
very well
to
might
do
be.
something,
And he does look to be jumping safely.
Yeah, he does. He's
He
jumping
more
safely.
kind of lean forwards and falls. And
Yeah, and he does it cross body style to spread out the impact as much as he can, and he aims
but
well.
still,
And
32 feet per second is 32
Yep.
feet per second.
and
Square.
the people I think are respectful enough. You had Private Party and Andrade all down there to catch him, and none of them were out of place, and so he got fully caught and everything. But it still makes my heart go every time he does that, because I'm like, ah. But in the end, Andrade got stuck in the coffin and closed, and Darby Allin slammed the lid and won the match. So Darby Allin continues to be unbeaten in coffin matches.
But I mean, okay, he did have a coffin match before, though. That wasn't a
Mhm.
joke that was the first coffin match. No, he did have
No.
one before.
He did
I
have
just
one
don't
before.
remember who it was.
Let me find out.
Because this match, honestly, it had its nice little moments, but it was still kind of, I don't know. I wasn't over it. Did Meltzer? Oh, I guess Meltzer didn't give a rating on it yet. I was curious to see what he would give.
Ethan Page was the other one.
Oh, see, I think that was a better match, though. I think they.
I think I would agree it was a better match, but it was
Yeah.
almost a year ago. So,
And I think we're maybe expecting a lot from Andrade too. You know what I mean? I don't know. I feel like we haven't had that fucking great Andrade match yet for some reason.
I don't know. I thought it was a fucking fire match. I think Andrade looks like an absolute pro
He does, yeah.
every time.
Just I don't know. It just didn't do it for me. I don't know.
Here's the deal: is if you try to hold this up against the Ethan Page one, the Ethan Page one featured Darby Allin doing a coffin drop onto the coffin with Ethan Page in it at the end.
Right.
And that's always going to overshadow whatever
that's
they did
valid.
at the end of this one. So
That's fair.
Yeah.
Rampage was it started off with Adam Cole versus Tomohiro Ishii.
Who was the first person?
Tomohiro Ishii, who's a
No, the
New
other
Japan
one.
wrestler. Sorry, I misidentified. Adam Cole Bebe.
Oh,
Mr. Bebe. I apologize.
I was so
Mr.
confused
Bebe.
who you were talking about. Like,
Yeah, I apologize. That was entirely on me.
yeah. Ooh.
Yeah, I
was like, "Who's this new wrestler? What did I miss?" on that?
journalistic integrity went out the window there for a bit. I have to apologize.
Ugh.
Mr. Bebe versus Tomohiro Ishii.
There we are. Thank you.
Thank you. Yep.
Which was a fun match. About the only thing is, this is another one of those, like I said, we need more introduction to New Japan wrestlers so that we know what to expect out of them. Because if you don't watch New Japan, you didn't know what to expect with this.
And this is partially developing those expectations.
And so this was kind of the first thing of it. So Adam Cole gets to continue on.
That would be of the Bebe clan.
Of the
correct?
Bebe clan, yes. Gets to continue on in the Owen Hart tournament. Lance Archer beat the fuck out of Serpentico. I think it was
Because
maybe
what he likes to do is murder people.
like a hawk.
Murder.
Yeah, he murders them like a hawk. Eddie Kingston versus Daniel Garcia was
Notice
fun.
how many felony promos there are in professional wrestling sometimes.
Yeah.
Lance Archer just went after it, like, I'm going to kill you. Oh my gosh, that is such a felony.
Danhausen calls him the murder bird.
Murder bird.
Yep. The Eddie Kingston versus Daniel Garcia match was it was a brawl. That's what we expect out of Eddie Kingston, but It was a fun one. And then Jade Cargill versus Marina Shafir. Jade
Ooh.
Cargill got her number 30.
I'm kind of digging the whole Jade Cargill maybe having a faction thing here.
Yeah, them. What do they call them? The baddie
faction?
section.
Or section, yeah.
Yep. Kira Hogan and Red Velvet were sitting there.
I don't know how I like Red Velvet, but again, that could be setting up the Red Velvet win over Jade Cargill. I feel like Red Velvet's the one who should beat Jade Cargill.
I don't know. I think they're building up to another name, but who exactly? I mean, like right now, Chris Statlander is starting her new gimmick, and so
she's not going to be an alien anymore.
I think they still call her the alien, but her gimmick is no longer like bright and colorful. It's
a little more Sigourney Weaver.
Well, yeah, I mean she all in black. Now let me see if I can find a picture of her new gimmick. Her new look, I should say. New look. She debuted on AEW Dark this week. Let me find a picture of it, and I'm not finding one right now.
All right.
Well, there's this picture, which is kind of it. Give me just 1 second. There we go. Share this picture. Share screen.
Probably a good place to.
And
Oh yeah, good look for it. You know what would make that look better?
Without being a sexist pig?
Yes, if she had some Raw and Order gear on.
Oh yeah, that's valid.
But so, no longer having the bright colored makeup on, no longer having the bright gear, the neon wrapping on her legs and stuff like that. She's definitely doing a darker, more vengeful look now.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
I wish I could. That's a promo shot. I wish I could have found a shot from the actual AEW Dark to really kind of show it off, but. Yeah. She came out to the ring and beat the fuck out of someone.
D'Lo says 1 hour 50 or 5 seconds away from our 2 hour mark. Let's wrap this bitch up.
You want to wrap this bitch up? We'll wrap this.
Yeah, I mean, we can do a little after show if you're up for it.
No, it's fine. I wrap this up. I'm gonna be done.
Yeah, I'm all tired.
I'm tired too. I'm tired.
What about you, JLB?
Well, today was very draining.
Yeah.
Then my brother wanted to play fucking board games afterwards. I'm like, bro, really? Who does board games after something like that? Like, ugh.
Yeah.
But it was fun.
Sorry,
all
man.
family together. But,
Yep.
So, do we have a game? No, games are on Tuesdays, right?
Games are
we
on
can do a little
Tuesday,
mini game.
No, we'll go ahead and wrap this up. 2 hours is a good time, so we'll go ahead and close the book on the wrestling booking unit. If you joined us for the live show, thank you. Thank you to Ambrosia and Jocelyn for stopping in at the beginning and saying hi.
And then for JC guy.
The big JC guy as well.
He sounds handsome.
Yeah. But
Ambrosia and Jocelyn, I'm sure, are handsome too. They look gorgeous by their profile pictures. So
handsome, yeah. We'll tell them they're handsome. That's
gorgeous. I said gorgeous.
But On that note, we're going to close things up. Make sure to follow us on the social medias. You can follow me at Raw and Order WBU pretty much anywhere except for on Facebook where it's at Pissant Podcast. You can follow DA Fabe at
DA Vincent K Fabe. There it is. See right there. And you can get merch from us at our merch store, which he'll go over soon, but there's mine back there because I have my pointer out, which is also Back Scratcher, which you can get on our merch store.
You can follow JLB at
JLB420. Real Talk Radio is the brand, though, at Real Talk Radio 8, anchor.fm/RTR. I also stream a lot, too. Video games, play some Mario Kart with friends. That's always a good time. So, yeah, follow me. I do a bunch of shit, and I'm going to watch Uncharted tonight. So, another movie review is
Can you
coming
say
out.
that again? What were you playing?
Mario Kart.
Mario Kart?
I don't know how you Americans say it weirdly. Mario Kart. It's not Mario. Mario.
You can
Not
find them
Mario.
right there. Right there.
Yep. Mario Kart.
Mario
Anyways.
Kart. Am I saying it wrong?
I mean, neither of us are Italian. We don't know.
I've always heard it Mario,
Well,
but whatever.
Mario. I guess like if you
I
think
just
of
like to hear you
Marion.
say it over and over again. Yeah, Mario Kart.
Mario Kart.
Yeah, Mario Kart.
But yeah, it's down there, guys. Links will be down below in the doobly doos. Please, thank you for the newer people who also came in today. That was dope. And yeah, please come back. We're always here to entertain.
Yes. Make sure to follow us on all the social medias. Make sure to follow us on Twitch. I've said it multiple times. Now that I'm back from this allergy thing, we will start doing Twitch exclusive streams here. And so make sure to follow us on Twitch if you want to get those. But yeah, you can support us on our Spread Shop, our merch store, where you can get a Fake Cops hat or a Sasha Bear shirt or a wrestling autograph shirt like behind me or behind DA Fabe. Those are great ways to support us.
No back scratcher.
No back scratchers as of yet. I should check. Should put in a submission. Say, hey, can we have back scratchers? Anyways. But yeah, you can also support us in the freeway, which is just liking, sharing, and subscribing. Share the episode with your friends so that they can watch it. The streams are up on replay on YouTube, Twitch, and Facebook, so you can watch it there. Or the audio version will be up on the podcast wherever you listen to audio podcasts here soon. But on that note, we will go ahead and close the book on the Wrestling Booking Unit. Thank you all for listening. We will see you soon.
It looks like it's bending.
You're bending.